Hello everybody, I am Coach Tyler from WeShape, and today is a really special day because we're doing a Fix Lower Back Pain Live. And our goal today is really simple. We want you to feel significantly better. We want your lower back to feel noticeably better in the next 1 hour with us. So if you're one of the millions of people who follow us, who have lower back pain, who've watched our videos and are wondering what can you do for relief, this is going to be a masterclass on exactly what you should be doing to help your lower back feel so much better. And so from the get-go, I want to ask you for two things. One, I want to ask you to follow along and participate with some of the movements and stretches that I'll be teaching throughout this video. Now, does that mean you need to take every single move and every single stretch and do them afterwards? No, that's not the goal. The goal of this should be for you to pick about 3 different movements or stretches and do them consistently for the next week or two and watch as your back pain starts to go away. Okay, so that's the first thing I want to ask you for. The second thing I want to ask you for is engagement, is participation in this live call. So I'm going to prove to you during this live call that we're going to help you fix your lower back right during this live. So the first thing I'm going to ask you to do is this. In the comments right now, if you have lower back pain, I want you to post on a scale of 1 to 10, where is your lower back pain at, all right? 10, excruciating, I can barely get up and move. 0, I'm not having any lower back pain. So go ahead and take a moment right now, post what your lower back pain is on a scale of 1 to 10. And when you post this, I want you to remember this number in your head, because at the end of this video, we're gonna re-rank and we're gonna see how much we improved your lower back pain in just this one live session. So we got some comments coming in already?
Not yet.
Not yet, okay. Coming in, all right. So post 6, all right, great. That's what we wanna see. I wanna see if people have a little bit of lower back pain right now. You got more?
6, another 6. Ooh.
Okay, a lot of 6s coming in right now, okay? So post on all the platforms. It doesn't matter if you're on YouTube, Facebook, or Instagram, or TikTok. Go ahead and post on a scale of 1 to 10. Where are you at? 10 being the worst, 0 being totally good. Remember this number, okay? Now, I'm gonna dive in straight to the 7 reasons that you have lower back pain and how to fix it. All right, most people are gonna fall into one of these 7 categories, and so doing the movements and stretches are gonna help you fix this issue, which is gonna help you fix your lower back pain. Now, before I get there though, I wanna tell you that I am not doing this without the experience of blowing out my lower back. And so a few years ago, I was doing something stupid. I was at my home gym and I was about to lift some really heavy weights, and I did it pretty mindlessly. I didn't think about properly activating my core. I didn't properly hinge through the hips. And when I went to go lift it up, you know what happened? Same thing that a lot of you have probably experienced, right? It's when we bend forward and we go to do something, all of a sudden, boom, that stabbing, pinching pain in your lower back to the side of your hip. For me, it was my SI joint. And this one was so bad, my legs literally collapsed from under me and I fell down to the ground. Now, the thing that was most interesting about this experience was I literally couldn't move for like 15 minutes. And it was really kind of scary for me, to be honest, because I'm used to being strong and flexible and being able to move my body, and one stupid move and all of a sudden I'm laying there for 15 minutes wondering if somebody's gonna have to come find me or if I'm eventually gonna be able to start moving and stand back up again. Well, after laying there for enough time, I super slowly rolled to my side, got to a seated position, got to a standing position, and realized, oh my God, I just really, really hurt myself. I pinched down on those nerves in my lower back, and right now I need to do something about it. Now, lucky for me, I've been a personal trainer for almost 20 years. I've had the privilege of training with some of the top physical therapists and athletic trainers in the world, and I spend so much of my time learning about the human body and how it's supposed to move so it can feel its best. And so I luckily had tools to deal with this. And so I stretched my hips, I worked on reactivating my core, I made sure I was moving through a full range of motion without agitating that injury. And you know what this allowed me to do? Well, in 72 hours, I was able to get back to doing all the things I wanted to do with my body again, because I had these tools, these movements and stretches, and the knowledge that you're gonna learn today about how to fix your lower back pain. So I highly, highly, highly recommend you stay through this whole live, you participate in the movements and the stretches, and again, if you just joined us, rank your lower back pain and post in the comments on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the lowest, 10 being the highest, and remember that number, because at the end of this live, I'm gonna make sure that that number went down, okay? So,
We got 10s, we got 6.
10s is 6, 10, I'm sorry for the 10s, by the way. If you're having a 10,
7s on TikTok.
9 7s, awesome.
8 on TikTok.
All right. So thank you for being here, and let's go through the curriculum of what you're going to learn today, okay? So we're going to go through the 7 reasons you have lower back pain and how to fix it. So the reasons are this: too much compression, all right? When we compress the spine, we pinch down the discs and nerves, and our lower back can hurt. Bad pelvic position. This can contribute to compression, but I'll show you more reasons why this is really not going to serve you. Tight glutes and hips. Having tight glutes and hips can compress that whole area, reduce the ability for your body to move more freely, cause lower back pain. We're going to look at a dysfunctional core. I'm going to teach you in that one, by the way, I'm going to teach you my #1 move for people with lower back pain. So this is one thing that we do in our We-Shape workout routines that we give to our members that has helped more people fix their lower back pain than anything I've seen in my entire life. And it's an oddly simple move. So make sure you stick around for that, okay? Weak glutes, all right? If we don't have strong glutes or if we don't know how to activate our glutes properly, then we rely on our lower back muscles to help us go up and down, which can agitate back pain even more. Bad form, all right? I'll talk about what I mean by bad form. It's all about learning how to move through the hips rather than through your back. And then having poor balance and coordination through all of the muscles of your lower body and your core. I'm going to teach you my favorite movement and a simple progression you can follow to start building better coordination and balance in your lower body to help you prevent lower back pain in the future, okay? So without further ado, let's get started and let's move our bodies together, all right? So #1 is too much compression. So the first thing I want to talk about is why this makes such a huge impact on your body, all right? So you see, when you compress your spine, especially your lower back, all these discs come down and they pinch down on the vertebrae of the spine, okay? When this happens, you can see there's like a little model of a bulging disc right here. That's because they pinch down or the angles become too much and the discs break and they explode outward like this. This can also pinch down on these little nerves right here. And when these nerves are pinched, we get pain that radiates down our legs and it feels rather horrible. So what we want is, instead of compression, everything pushing down, we want to create length in the spine and also length in the hip capsule, all right? So these 2 moves are going to be for people who have a little bit of a spinal compression. They're likely safe for almost everybody with lower back pain, so give them a shot. Before we do that, though, I just want to say one more thing. Listen to your body throughout this experience. Don't do things that I say because I say them. Do the things that feel good as you're doing them, okay? So the first thing we're going to do is a simple stretch. I like to call it the sink stretch, but we're going to use a chair today because I don't have a sink handy. But it's really awesome to do these at your kitchen sink, okay? And one of the things we like to teach at We-Shape is to integrate movement into your daily life in a way that makes you feel good without too much effort. So every time you walk up to your kitchen sink, do this stretch, and it'll help you decompress your spine. All right, so you can either have a nice sturdy chair, kitchen sink, countertop, something you can grab onto like this. You're going to step your feet about 3 feet away, and the big key here is you want to be able to move your hips behind your ankles, okay? I want my hips to be able to drop behind my ankles because we want that to pull us backwards. Now you're going to let your body come down into this position, and I want you to let your hips pull your body backwards like this, okay? And what you should feel is length happening, especially in your lower back. Now if it feels good in this position, you can just go ahead and shift your hips a little bit to the side and then a little bit to the other side. Just a little bit from side to side like this, as you constantly think to yourself, length, 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 length. So trying to think about stretching the back out as much as possible. If this chair is too low, you can grab a higher surface to do this. And again, a sink is a fantastic way to do this as well as we start to loosen up and decompress the spine. Now in this position, you can also take big belly breaths in, huge belly breath, and then exhale. And imagine somebody's like grabbing onto your tailbone and pulling it backwards like this. That's going to help you decompress your lower back. Now, we've done this for around 30 or so seconds. When you do this in your daily life, you can do this for around a minute or so. And the big thing is we don't want to just come out of it really quickly. We want to use our arms and our core. So squeeze the core muscles. I'll show you how to do that better in just a sec. Slowly walk your body up, use your arms, and take a moment to come back to the starting position just like this. Now, for most people who followed along with me, this should make the lower back feel a little bit better already because, like I said, when we decompress the discs, we alleviate the pressure on the nerves and oftentimes create more space, which makes the lower back feel better, okay? Now, for people with acute lower back pain, meaning all of a sudden I bent down to pick something up and boom, it felt like a stabbing in my lower back. We want to do this next movement, okay? Because it's something that you can do in a very rested fashion that will help alleviate the hip capsule tension and relax the lower back muscles into the ground. I told you earlier that I'm making this lower back live because I have had an experience where I blew my lower back pain out and barely could move. This move right here help me fix it faster than anything else. So if you're having that acute sudden lower back pain, especially SI joint pain, then please do this every day. We're only gonna do it for a minute together here, but you can do this for as long as 10 or 15 minutes every single day. So what you're gonna do is safely come down to the ground, right? We wanna be safe as possible. And I wanna tell you that if you can't come down to the ground, that's totally okay. You can also do this on your bed if you have lots of pillows you can stack under your knees. I'll make sure to show you how to do that in just a sec. So what you're gonna do though, is you're gonna lie down on your back on the ground just like this, okay? And you're gonna bring your legs up on top of a chair. And I have this little pillow right here. It's nice to have a pillow or a towel you can roll up. And what you'll do is you'll place the backs of your calves on the top of the chair like this. The goal is to make it feel like something's almost pulling upward on your thighs, okay? If it's pulling upward on your thighs, it's creating a little bit of space inside the hip capsule, right? Now from there, we wanna just lengthen our spine. I like to walk my shoulder blades up, and then I let my lower back just rest in the ground. I let my head rest in the ground, and then I take my shoulders and I drop my shoulders away from my ears. I place my palms toward the sky, and then I breathe into my belly deep, and I exhale, and try to just let all the muscles relax. Now, like I said, this is a position that we're just gonna hold for around 1 minute during this live session. But if you have that acute, that sudden lower back pain, doing this for the first few days, once or twice a day for 10 or more minutes, can make a substantial difference on how your lower back pain feels, okay? So make sure you do this in a good position, shoulders away from the ears, lower back pressed flat, something behind the calves so it feels like your thighs are pulling out just like this. It's gonna make a huge difference on how your lower back feels if you do this stretch every single day, okay? Now, a couple things to say here is this is such a great stretch because it's not a challenging stretch for most people once you get into position. And you can literally just grab your phone and look at it right here. You could be scrolling through social media, watching this live video right in front of you. You could read a book right here, or if you want, you can just close your eyes and take some deep breaths and meditate right here while you're laying in this position, okay? So try to hold this position for at least 5 minutes, ideally 10 minutes, especially if you're in that acute phase. If you're not in that acute phase, you don't have to hold this every single day, but it can be helpful to help reset your lower back and your pelvis and bring them into a good position, which again, decompresses the hip capsule and allows more motion in the hip capsule so you don't have to compensate with the lower back, all right? So what we're gonna do is slowly come out of this. I always wanna make sure we're moving very slowly. And I just wanna remind you that if you can't lie down on the ground, another way to do this is if you're in bed, you can lie down in bed, then you could take 3, 4 pillows and just put them underneath your legs right here so they pull you up, and you can repeat this motion while lying in bed as well, okay? So make sure you practice this one way or another, depending on what you're capable of at this current stage in your lower back pain journey, okay? So those two things will help so much with too much compression in your lower back and inside your hip capsules, and they'll basically reset your spine and really help you decompress your spine in a way that makes it feel so much better, all right? So if you feel like you have pinched nerves, sudden acute back pain, make sure you try those two movements because they're gonna make you feel a lot better, all right? The next one, and this is really important, is bad pelvic position, okay? I'm gonna come back to my spine here because this is really important. If we have what's called an anterior pelvic tilt, where our pelvis is tilted forward like this, which is a huge, huge reason why people have lower back pain, what that ends up happening is the lower back is in a bent position like this, okay? And when it's in a bent position like this, the angle of the discs changes. So the back side of the disc you can see are more compressed and the front are more open like this, but it causes it to squish down on the nerves and again could cause these bulging discs as well. So we don't want a pelvis to be like this, we want our pelvis to be more in the center. Now conversely, if we have this upper back tightness, oftentimes our pelvis can come into this position right here. And we don't want the spine to be rounded forward like this either. We want the spine to have a natural S-curve with a little bit of a bend in the lower back this way and a little bit of a bend in the upper back this way because it creates a natural spring for our body. But we don't want too much anterior pelvic tilt. We don't want too much posterior pelvic tilt. So take a moment right now and we're gonna figure out which one you have, and then I'm gonna make sure you're doing the right stretch for the type of pelvic posture that you have, okay? So place your hands on your hips, and I want you to find the top of your hip bones like this. Now imagine your hips are a bowl of water and they're filled to the brim, all right? Try not to think about your pelvic posture, do what you would naturally do. Now is your bowl of water pouring forward like this, or is it pouring a little bit backwards like this, all right? So take a moment and really feel into it. You're probably somewhere in the middle of those two things, but try to feel if you're a little bit more tilted this way or a little bit more tilted this way. Now, if you have an anterior pelvic tilt where your pelvis is tilted like this, then that means we've got to stretch your hip flexors and your psoas muscles, which I want to describe why this is so important, all right? So over on the muscle chart here, when we have a tight psoas, all right? When we have a tight psoas and we have tight hip flexor muscles that run through the front of the hip, those muscles pull us into an anterior pelvic tilt. But when we can loosen those muscles, they bring the pelvis back to the center, which again takes a lot of pressure off the discs and the nerves in the lower back. And so if this is you, if you're someone who has an anterior pelvic tilt, I'm going to show you a few different ways to stretch it, because there's a few different ways depending on where you're at. The first one is a standing hip flexor stretch. So one leg forward, one leg backwards like this. I want to make sure that you're not tightrope walking either. We don't want to align our feet because then you'll end up falling down, okay? So instead, we have space between the feet like this. Turn the hips forward. Now here's the most important thing that in this position, okay, to protect your lower back, is to tuck your pelvis. So point your tailbone towards the ground like this. I try to think about either shortening your belly or pointing your tailbone down, all right? Now immediately, you'll feel a stretch through the front side of your hip, all right? And what we want to do here is we want to take a big belly breath in, keep the pelvis tucked, and exhale, and move forward. And we'll deepen that stretch as we do this. Big belly breath in, exhale, move forward. Another thing I like to think about here is pushing through this heel, almost like I'm trying to push my foot backwards, so I create as much length as possible through that entire chain from my foot all the way into my abdomen. And if you want to deepen the stretch too, you can use your hand on a chair for support. You can even lift the other hand over, do a slight side bend like this, and you'll feel the stretch go even deeper from your hip flexor all the way into your abdomen, which is where we get more of a psoas stretch in this position, okay? Now we want to hold this stretch for around 60 seconds on the right side, and then do 60 seconds on the left side, and then come back and see how it affects our pelvic postural position. So this is one variation of the hip flexor stretch. I'm going to show you a different variation on the other side, which I really have come to love a lot. And so you can pick what you want to do if you're following along. You can just do another minute of this stretch, or you can follow along to the other stretch, okay? So I'm going to show you this one. You take a chair or a couch, something soft for your knee to kneel down on. If you need to, you can put a pillow there for support as well. You're going to kneel on the chair like this. You're going to swing the other leg forward, and then you're going to do the same thing. Tuck your pelvis and turn your hips forward, and then start to come forward like this. This can often deepen the stretch, and in a lot of ways, this removes the need for you to have balance in this position. So for some people, this can feel a lot more comfortable. And you can always keep your hand on the back of the chair for support. And just like we did on the other side, you can also place the hand on the hip, and you can do a little bit of a side bend like this in order to get a deeper stretch inside that hip flexor and inside the abdomen, okay? So hold this position. Belly breath in, pelvis is tucked. We're not letting the butt stick out like this. We're tucking the pelvis. It's so important to protect the lower back, okay? And we're exhaling. And when I exhale, I think about bending through the front knee, and really almost like my front knee and my back knee are moving apart from each other without my pelvis turning to the side. Everything's kind of staying forward like this as I hold this position, okay? Big belly breath in, and hold that position, okay? Now slowly come out if you've been stretching it on that side, and pause for a second. See how your lower back feels, and see how much easier it is for your pelvic posture to not be here, but rather to be here instead. This one can make a huge difference on your lower back pain. So if any of these movements or stretches make you feel better instantly, then that's the movement or stretch you want to pick and take with you after this live. Because again, I told you from the start, pick like 3 things that made you feel good throughout this live. Do those consistently every day, maybe even a couple times a day for the next 1 to 2 weeks, and watch as your lower back pain feels so much better, okay? Now, if you have the opposite direction of pelvic posture, all right, if you have pelvic posture that's more of a posterior pelvic tilt like this, or kind of this upper back rounded, which almost always forces our lower back to round like this, then stretching your hip flexors isn't going to do anything for you. And instead, we want to stretch the muscles that are tight on the back side of the body, okay? So back over to our muscle chart again. When our hamstrings are tight, all right, these muscles on the back sides of our legs, those muscles pull our pelvis down into this posterior pelvic tilt position. Then we can't move through our hips very well, and it forces us to move through our spine more, which causes us to ultimately have more lower back pain. So for you, you're going to want to do a hamstring stretch. And this is one of my favorite stretches because it's one that you can do in bed, and it's something that you can set a little reminder to do every day before you go to bed, and maybe every day before you get up out of bed. So it's a really easy stretch to integrate into your life. So what you'll do is take a towel or a belt or a yoga strap or anything really, and place it next to your bed so that you remember it. Then you're gonna take the towel and you're gonna roll it up and you're gonna have it kind of like this, okay? What we wanna do is we wanna place this over the ball of our foot right here, all right? The ball of the foot, and it's really important. I don't want you to put it over the arch or the heel because we wanna get the calf involved because this line runs from the heel all the way into the glute right here, into the back of the hip. So we wanna stretch everything there. Now we can do this in a lying position, and what you're gonna do is first lift your toes towards your nose. You'll feel that calf stretch. Relax your upper body, drop your shoulders away from your ears so we've got good postural position, and then pull your leg up until you feel a stretch, either in your calf or your hamstring or both. Now, if you're feeling all calf and no hamstring, then you can point the toes a little bit like this, which usually allows you to come a little bit more up and will make it more of a hamstring stretch. If you're doing all hamstring and no calf, imagine pulling your toes towards your nose a little bit more and see if you can balance it out. Again, we want to feel a stretch on the whole back side of that leg as we're holding this position. And remember, we want to have a nice breathing rhythm here. Inhaling deep into the belly, exhaling, and every time we exhale, we come a little bit deeper into the stretch. Now, since you're here because you have lower back pain, I want to be real about something. When we're stretching, we never want to go into a position that feels like it's maybe 90% intensity or higher. We don't want to feel like as we come into it, everything gets tight. So check your neck tension, check your face tension, check your shoulder tension. If everything's tensing up, you're probably going too far. Back off a little bit, breathe and relax, and then start to deepen into the stretch, okay? Now, just like the hip flexor stretch, you can hold this one for around 60 seconds on the left side, and then we'll switch it and go 60 seconds on the right side. Now, I want to tell you something about the stretch that's really cool. How do we know we're making progress in this stretch? Well, we start with a towel, and it doesn't matter. For some people, you're going to be down here. You're going to be so tight, this feels too challenging for you. Eventually, we're going to slowly bring our body up, and then guess what you're going to have to do? You're going to have to choke up on the towel, reach your arms up a little bit more. And then, eventually, you'll be able to reach your arms up a little bit more. And then eventually, you'll be able to take the towel off and actually do this stretch with your arm instead of holding the towel, okay? So I know that could take a long period of time, but how do you know you're making progress? Well, we know we're making progress when we get closer and closer to our hands grabbing onto our foot in this lying position. Now, one more thing is why I like this hamstring stretch so much is because this really targets the muscles on the backside of the leg and the hamstrings while keeping the spine nice and flat and neutral. So if you're stretching your hamstrings or your lower back by bending forward and trying to touch your toes in a standing position, just know that's not a good stretch for people with lower back pain. It's too high risk. You're probably not even stretching your hamstrings. You're probably overstretching your lower back and again, putting the discs of your spine into a vulnerable position, which you don't want to do, all right? So now we can come slowly out of that stretch. And already, I hope that you're feeling a little bit better, okay? Hope your body's feeling a little bit better off of just those first two things. Now let's loosen up two areas of the body that often are incredibly tight on people with lower back pain, okay? So these are your glutes and your hips, especially all around the hips. Now this is really important because if our glute muscles are tight, then they don't let our hips move freely, okay? So a tight glute muscle means that I can't bend forward, it means I can't rotate to the side, and instead what has to happen? I have to move through my lower back to move forward and backward, and I have to move through my lower back to rotate from side to side. So I want to create flexibility inside the hips, and there's really two ways to create flexibility inside the hips. We want to have really strong external rotation of the hips and a really strong internal rotation of the hips, and that will often make a huge difference in how our lower back feels, okay? So first, we're going to talk about stretching the hips in an externally rotated position, all right? So one of my favorite stretches to do is called the seated figure 4 stretch, and I'll show you a few different ways to do it because it can be challenging for some people, especially if you're just starting out, okay? So what you're going to do is not straighten your leg, but don't bend your knee fully, extend your foot out like this, and what you can do is cross your ankle either under your knee or over your knee if you can, ideally over your knee, all right? It's okay though if it's underneath your knee just like this. And if for some reason it's really low and you can't grab it, just get your towel again or your strap and strap that around your ankle like this and hold on to that instead. Now you don't have to bend forward, you can just use your arm and this towel to do this stretch, okay? Now whatever position you're in, what we're gonna do is we're gonna imagine bringing our belly button forward towards this ankle that's crossed over your shin or your knee. So I'm just gonna bring it forward, but important here, nice flat back, all right? I don't want you rounding your back forward like this as you do it to try and see if you can increase your range of motion. Because look, the angle of my spine relative to my hips, so from here to here, relative to my hips right here, that's what dictates how flexible my hip external rotators are. So if I'm here with a nice flat back, and I'm here with a nice rounded back, I'm literally not creating any more flexibility. I'm not actually coming more forward into the position. I'm literally just overstretching my spine. And again, coming back to my little spine model here, we're over flexing the spine and pinching down on the discs and the nerves. And that's the one thing we don't want to do. We don't over flex or overextend the spine, all right? So back to the figure 4 stretch. Ankle across the knee, under or over. Nice tall posture, belly button towards the ankle, and you'll feel a stretch on the outside of your hip. This is a really, really, really good stretch. It feels really good when you're done. It can feel kind of challenging when you're doing it, right? So just like before, breathe and relax in this position. I'm gonna show you one more thing I like to do in this stretching position. I like to grab my ankle and I like to drop my elbow against my knee like this to push the hip out even more. And then I just bow forward from the hips and it intensifies and deepens the stretch right here. And again, remember, you can have your ankle below your knee like this, and this bottom leg can be pretty straight if you need to. You still could feel the stretch like this. And over time, our goal is get that foot over the knee and then bring that foot closer to the chair like this until we're able to sit nice tall posture and start to bend forward like this, okay? So just like the other stretches, we want to be able to do this for around 60 to 90 seconds on one side, 60 to 90 seconds on the other side. Now, pick a variation that feels like the good fit for you, but I'm going to show you a different variation of the stretch on the opposite side. You can just do the seated variation if you want to, if you're following along, okay? This one's great to do, and it's another one you can do in bed. So what we'll do is a laying figure 4 this time, all right? So instead of seated position, in bed, you cross your ankle over your knee like this. And I'm going to show you actually 2 different ways to get this stretch that we're looking for here, okay? Number one is you see this little triangle right here where my legs are. We're going to take one hand and dive it through the triangle, and the other hand stays to the outside of the thigh, okay? And I'm going to do a little sit up, and I'm going to bring my ankle up like this, grab the back of my leg, and see if I can pull my leg towards my body. So this keeps my spine in a neutral position and stretches that hip external rotator in a way that feels really good as well. Now, this works for some people. For other people, what can feel really good is instead of pulling the leg up like this, we allow the foot to come down to the outside like this. And that can often create a really deep stretch on the outside of the hip as well. The big thing here is if your back is in a really bad position, sometimes rotating like this can be really dangerous. So please listen to your body. If you start to go and you feel anything not feel safe, don't do this variation of the stretch. Pick this variation instead, or pick the seated variation. But if it does feel good, it can be a great way to rotate over. And if you want to deepen the stretch, you can even grab the knee like this and pull it towards you. And that's going to intensify the outside of the hip being stretched, okay? We want to really get a deep stretch on the outside of that hip because usually those muscles are really tight on people with lower back pain, okay? So once you've done about 60 seconds on this side, then we're going to move on to another stretch that's going to help open up the hips in both external or internal rotation and also help stretch the groin muscles. Which again, if those are tight, if everything's tight and compacted in the hips, it brings us into a bad position and can cause lower back pain. And it can make it so that we can't get out of that lower back pain, all right? So I'm going to show you this move on the floor. I want to be super clear here. Nobody should do this move on the floor like I'm doing this, especially if you have lower back pain or knee pain, or if you're older or you're a beginner, right? This move should be done in bed, all right? And the reason why is when you do this move in bed, you're kneeling on an incredibly soft surface, so it can be really comfortable and your body doesn't tighten up. If you have a real soft carpet in your house, maybe that can be a good thing for you to do as well, but please don't do this stretch on the floor or especially like harder floors, all right? So what we're gonna do is essentially do a squat, but in a horizontal position. Because when we do a squat, we open up the hips in a way that often loosens up the lower back and makes it feel so much better. So in bed, what you can do is come down to your arms like this, so you're in like a all fours position, and then let your hips open up. So let your knees slide to the outside as far as you can until it feels like you got a nice stretch coming through your groin muscles right here. Now in this position, we're gonna bring our butt back towards our heels like this and forward. And we're gonna go forward and backward, just like this, trying to get as deep as we can right here. Now the big thing is, as I come down, don't let your lower back round into position. If you're seeing it go like this, you've gone way too far. Instead, keep a little arch in the lower back, come down as far as you feel comfortable, and then come back up, all right? And if you want to, I really like to do this stretch on my elbows like this here. It gets me a little bit deeper into the position, and it helps me open up the hips a little bit more. So this is for people who can't squat deep, because it's much easier to do this position than it is to try and do this in an actual squatted position. But if you start to feel like your hips are loosening up, everything's starting to feel better, another way to get those hips open in both the groin and in internal rotation is to do a squat stretch, spending a little bit of time in a squat every single day. So again, if you're following along and you know you can't squat, you can just keep doing that stretch right there. And if you want to, you can try doing a variation of what I'm about to show you here, all right? So when we spend time in the squat, we decompress the hips, we lengthen the lower back, and we make the whole body function so much better. So come into a wide stance with your toes turned out and your knees pushed out like this. And I like to have a chair behind me. Something that can be really beneficial if you're not used to this is putting a pillow or maybe even 2 or 3 pillows underneath the chair for extra support and just to be there for safety, just in case you slip out and you fall on your butt, okay? So hands on the chair now, and we're gonna keep the knees out wide. And what you're gonna do is imagine I'm pushing my pelvis forward and starting to loosen up the hips. So the first variation is using your arms behind you for support and just loosening up the hips like this, keeping the spine nice and flat, okay? And the goal is, over time, can I slowly work my way deeper and deeper in this squat position without rounding my body forward like this, okay? I don't wanna be rounded, I wanna be nice and tall like this, okay? Now, if we have flexible enough ankles and hips, what we can start to do is we can bring one hand forward, and then we can bring the other hand forward, and we can start to pry ourselves down into a deeper and deeper squat position, okay? And spending time in a squat position like this every day is so good for your entire body, your knees, your hips, your ankles, your lower back. But again, remember, this is not something that most people can do right away. But does that mean that you can't work up to this over the course of maybe a few months or a year, right? If you did this simple stretch that I showed you in bed every day for a minute or so, just every day, one stretch for a minute or so, you'll be able to open your hips up. And then once you feel like you're able to hold that position, maybe you'll start trying 1 minute a day of this move, where your hands are behind your back. And then you'll lighten the load on your hands and allow your body to come a little more forward. And eventually you'll be able to come into that squat position again. So trying to maintain or build the ability to hold a squat-like position, whether it's standing or whether it's kneeling in bed, can be so incredible for loosening up your hips and your glutes and making you feel so much better, all right? So we got 4 more things to cover today that's gonna help you fix your lower back pain, and I'm gonna go over them in just a sec, but hopefully you're already feeling better, because remember, the goal of this live was for you to walk away after this one live session noticeably reducing your lower back pain. So hopefully it's feeling better. Let me know in the comments if it is. Just say, hey, this is working. I'm feeling good. Thanks for these stretches. If you have questions as we go through this too, feel free to toss them in there. My team will grab them and they'll shout them out to me as we go through this, all right? But we're gonna solve 4 more reasons why people often have lower back pain. And the next one is one of my favorites. I've seen it help thousands of people, all right?
We got a question from Chris.
All right, got a quick question here.
On YouTube.
Yep.
If you have trouble getting up and down off the floor, can you group the chair stretches all at once?
Oh, that's a great question. If you have trouble getting up and down off the floor, can you group all the chair stretches together at once? Absolutely. The way that we're going through this live isn't the exact order that you need to do all these movements and stretches. Because remember, at the beginning of this live, I said, try to pick 3 or so stretches or movements that make you feel good, and just do those ones, okay? So you can cherry pick the ones that feel good. You don't have to do the ones that don't feel good. And then if you want to resort the order of these, you can totally resort the order of these as well, okay? So now let's talk about your core, all right? This is gonna be big because the core creates stability for the spine. So I'm gonna go over to our nice skeleton here. Imagine this skeleton right here. It doesn't have any core muscles, okay? And when the skeleton doesn't have any core muscles, what does that mean? That means the spine is really vulnerable. It can move side to side, it can twist too much, it can round forward and backward. And we really want a strong core, not because we want it to flex and extend our spine like would happen with crunches and sit-ups, but instead we want a strong core to resist rotation, flexion, and extension, and lateral movement of the spine, okay? And there is one move that we teach at WeShape that does this incredibly well, all right? And this move is called the elevator. And I'm gonna teach it to you in a few different ways to make sure that you are practicing this in a way that really feels like you're activating your core properly. Now, this is not a traditional core movement like you would see people doing like leg raises or sit-ups or crunches or anything like that. This is a core movement that helps rebuild the activation from your brain to your deep core muscles. because it's these deep core muscles that need to be activated to properly stabilize the spine. It's not the six-pack abs, it's the ones real deep inside that run horizontally around your waist that act almost like a weight belt or a corset, creating stability in your core, okay? And so the movement I'm gonna teach you is called the elevator. I'm gonna teach you in the lying position because it's the easiest way to get started to really feel this movement. So this is another one of those movements that you can practice in bed, but feel free to follow along in a seated position or in a standing position as well, and know that it doesn't matter whether you're lying, seated, or standing. What we really want to focus on is, can we properly activate our core with this technique, okay? And this will be really important for the 7th reason that people have lower back pain and how to fix it, and the 6th one as well, okay? So make sure we're going to practice this as we go through the next few, all right? So I'm going to teach you this. You're going to start by lying down on the ground or sitting in a chair, and you're going to take your fingers, okay? And you're going to measure between your belly button and your hip. So here's the top of my hip bone, here's my belly button, and right between those 2 points, I'm going to take my 2 fingers and I'm going to push them into that fleshy spot right there on my stomach, okay? My body's fully relaxed at this point. Now these are the people, my 2 fingers on each side, and my belly is the elevator. So what we want to do is this: take a big breath in to the lower belly, squeeze those core muscles. You want to push those fingers out as much as possible. Hold for a couple seconds, exhale, and relax, okay? And repeat just like that for a minute. Inhale, push the people out, lift them with the elevator, hold, exhale, and relax. Okay, so this is step 1, is using your breath to create that elevator contraction of your core. This type of contraction of the core marries the pelvis and the spine together in one position, which protects your lower back by activating all those deep core muscles, okay? Now, over time, we don't want to have to use our breath to be able to facilitate this. So if you can, try practicing this. Push the fingers out by taking a big belly breath in, and then when you exhale, do shallow breaths and see if you can keep the fingers pushed out and you can feel the nice strong core underneath it the entire time for the entire minute. If you can hold this with shallow breath for an entire minute, then the next step is, can we do full inhalations and full exhalations while maintaining the elevator? So that looks like this. Push the fingers out, I exhale fully, I inhale fully. I exhale fully, I inhale fully. And not much changes inside the tension where I'm pushing in with my fingers, okay? And then eventually, what we want to be able to do is we want to be able to use this type of core activation in every movement that we would require it, okay? So a great example, which I'm going to get to in just a sec, is when I go to bend forward to pick stuff up, instead of just relaxing my core and then relaxing my core and coming up like this, which is, by the way, the #1 reason people hurt their lower back in the first place, we would use that core, that breath, we would create that tension inside the core, and we would move like this, okay? This makes you stronger, protects your lower back, strengthens your core, and makes everything in your spine so much safer, all right? So how do you practice this movement? Again, before you get out of bed, practice it for 1 minute, whatever variation that you're capable of doing, and know that sometimes it can take months to go from having to use a big belly breath in to push the fingers out to actually being able to do it without the breath, okay? So it can take a long time because ultimately you're rebuilding the nerves that run from your brain to your deep core muscles. We're activating muscles that have been dormant for a long time. If you practice this every day for 1 minute though, you're going to strengthen those deep core muscles, and your ability to effectively use those deep core muscles while you're moving your body, which is going to keep you so much safer at the same time. And we'll get to that more in just a sec, okay? So just remember, this is probably the most important thing you can do to protect your lower back, to create space between your discs and your vertebrae so that you can allow your lower back to heal, and also so you can protect yourself as you move through your daily life in the future, okay? All right, let's do 3 more things, and then we're going to check in and see how does your lower back feel now. All right, we stretch your hips and your glutes, but we also want to strengthen your hips and your glutes. And the reason why we want to do that is this. If I have weak glutes, then guess what happens? Every single time I go to bend forward and stand back up, if my glutes aren't active, then I'm going to use my lower back muscles, all right? My lower back's going to be tight here. My lower back's going to be tight here. My glutes are the ones that should be doing that movement, okay? So we're going to go through a simple progression here to activate the glutes in a way that feels good. This should be done in bed as well. Like, as you can see, a lot of these movements, you can do them right in bed, first thing in the morning, or right before you go to bed to help activate the right muscles, stretch the right muscles, and make your lower back feel good again, okay? So the first move is a glute activation drill that we'd like to teach people when they can't properly fire their glutes, okay? Now, I want you to be really cautious about this particular glute activation drill, because one of the common things that people can do is instead of activating their glutes like this, they end up activating their lower back like this. And there's a subtle difference there. The difference is this. You watch, one, I push my hips into the ground, and then I just extend through the hip, right? The other one, I'm extending through my lower back. I'm kind of trying to exaggerate it here, but you can see my lower back is arching like this. So one is tailbone pointed down, glutes stay tight. The other one is glutes and core a little bit relaxed, and we're still trying to facilitate that motion, but it's happening through your lower back instead. So you can do this movement laying in bed. You can just relax your head on your arms like this or on a pillow, whatever feels comfortable to you. And if you're doing this movement and you can't quite do this one this way, you can also put a pillow underneath your torso, lay on the pillow, and then it'll make it a little bit easier because you'll be a little bit elevated your torso, and it'll help you activate your glutes a little bit easier without too much hip extension, okay? So in this position, you're gonna curl one heel up, you're gonna squeeze your glutes and press your hips down on the ground. So if you can't squeeze your glutes, that's okay. Just push your hips down into the ground. Now see if you can lift that heel just about a ½ inch off of the ground, the knee, ½ inch off the ground by pushing the heel towards the sky like this. And what you can do is you can check. You can say, is my glute firing? Yes, great. Okay, hold for a second and relax. Squeeze the glute, hold for a second and relax. Okay, and we're gonna do this for 1 minute on the right, and then you're gonna curl your other heel up, and you're gonna go 1 minute on the left, just like this. Learning how to activate the glute muscles, okay? Now, how do you know that you're able to activate your glute muscles? Well, if I'm in a laying position like this, can I squeeze my right glute without having to lift my heel towards the sky? Can I squeeze my left glute without having to lift my heel towards the sky? Now, that might seem a little bit weird, but having activation to your glutes like that, really that active activation where you're able to think it and it squeezes, that's really important because now we know how to properly use the glute muscles for all these hip extension movements I'm going to teach you next. So keep practicing this variation of the glute activation drill, and then check and see, can you squeeze the glute independently without having to lift the foot off the ground? If you're able to do that, and you've got a good, strong mind-muscle connection, now we can start strengthening the glutes. And again, you can do this in bed. It only takes you a minute. You're gonna do a glute bridge squeeze, okay? So palms toward the sky, shoulders away from the ears, heels are right underneath your butt, toes pointed straight forward. We're not gonna just jump up into like a big back arch, because remember, we don't wanna hurt our lower back. So what we wanna do is this. I like to think about my tailbone slowly pointing upwards like this and slowly rolling one vertebrae at a time off of the ground, okay? So it looks like this. Pushing into my heels, tailbone starts to point upward, now it starts to lift off, lower back starts to lift off. I get that same glute squeeze that I had when I was on my prone position lying on my belly, and then I relax and slowly roll one vertebrae down at a time. And we'll practice this move slow and controlled for an entire minute, really focusing on the glute squeeze, okay? And if you can do this for an entire minute, and you've really got good glute activation here, then we can extend the hips into a full glute bridge, okay? So squeezing, just like we started, the glutes first, and then coming into a nice alignment where your knees, hips, and shoulders are in one straight line, okay? One straight line right here, all right? And this time we're gonna hold, and you're just gonna focus on squeezing the glutes. Now, where this could go wrong is if you overextend your spine, all right? If you start to overextend your lower back like this, you can see if I pull my shirt up, I'm having a big arch in my lower back. It's okay to move through the spine, but not when you have lower back pain. We want to reactivate the core. We want to make sure we're reactivating the glutes, and we're doing things in a low-risk position, okay? So that brings up one more thing I want to mention. This is a great opportunity to use the elevator, all right? So elevator up, core tight. Now, glute bridge squeeze, keeping the core tight, extend the hips, and everything from your glutes all the way into your core now is supporting your lower back in a way that feels good, all right? If you want to keep building on the progression, one of the things that we do at WeShape is we continuously make the movements a little bit harder. So as an example, if you were doing our workouts, you would extend the hips like this, and if that felt a little bit easier, then what you can do is bring your feet closer together and then start doing single leg can-cans like this, where we kick one leg out and bring it back. Kick one leg out and bring it back. And so we're isolating one side of our glutes at the same time and also using our core to prevent our hips from rotating. So all of these can be fantastic for strengthening your glutes, which again, are super important for protecting your lower back and allowing you to do things like stand up while using your glute muscles instead of having to use your lower back muscles, all right? Which brings me to our sixth reason that you have lower back pain. And this one's really important. I hope you really take this one to heart, because the number one reason that I see people hurt their lower backs, and this goes back to my story too, is that we move mindlessly, okay? And at WeShape, one of the core principles that we try to teach people is to move mindfully. Because when you move mindfully, you move better. And when you move better, you feel better. Thanks, guys. You feel better, all right? So check this out. The number one cause of people hurting their backs in the first place is this. They go to bend forward, they round their spine, and then they rotate. Round and rotate, all right? When we round and rotate, what happens? I've shown you this a bunch of times, okay? When we round and we rotate at the same time, we put compression on the discs, on the nerves, and we potentially end up causing lower back pain, okay? And so we don't want to round and rotate when we move forward. We want to follow along to a workout routine or practice movement in a way that not just benefits our bodies of feeling good, but actually allows us to move more freely in our daily life, all right? So at WeShape, instead of focusing on how intensely you can exercise, what we like to focus on is how well you can move. That way, when you go to pick something up, instead of doing this and not thinking about it, you do this and you do it well. So that way you don't hurt your back in the future and you build the strength, flexibility, and coordination to feel good in your body again. So the thing I want to talk to you about when it comes to lower back is how to properly move through your hips. And this is a really good step right now because we've worked on your core activation and your glute activation, and we've already loosened up the hips before that. So we want to combine those two and teach you how to use good form to move through the hips, all right? So one of the reasons why people move through their back is when they go to bend forward, their center of gravity shifts towards the front of their feet. And when you do this, you're going to bend forward like this, and you're going to put a lot of the pressure on your back. So one of the things you can try with me right now, try this out. Stand up. If you need to, you can put your hands on in a countertop or a chair for support, right? And all I want you to do is this. Bend a little bit forward from the hips, all right? And then focus on your lower back muscles. Now lean forward on your toes and feel the lower back muscles. See, they start to fire, they start to fire, they start to fire. Now, lean back to your heels. And what happens? Oh, wait, the glutes and the hamstrings take over, and the lower back starts to calm down because it doesn't require as much strength to hold this position because now our entire body is centered over our foot or even a little bit posterior, which means glutes more and spinal erectors less, okay? So when we go to bend forward, what we don't want to do is put the weight on our toes and bend forward, and especially don't want to rotate. What we want to do is this. We want to approach whatever object that we want to pick up. We want to take a slightly wider than hip width stance with our toes turned outward. We want to start the movement by shifting the weight to our heels and pushing our butt back just like this, okay? So I almost imagine that like I'm trying to push somebody over behind me with my butt, all right? And then I'm going to come down as far as I can until I feel a stretch in my glutes and hamstrings. Then I'm going to allow the knees to bend. I'm going to grab the object, and I'm going to stand back up, all right? Now, if I want to apply the other things we just learned to this, I'm going to apply the elevator before I do all of that. So elevator, bend forward, come down. Now, if I want to apply the glute activation to this, you see how this position looks a lot like the start of a bridge? Now I'm going to squeeze the hips and the glutes and extend the hips and focus on the glute muscles. All right, so now we're using these really strong muscles that protect your spine to be able to move, to pick stuff up, to go turn, to carry stuff, to do things like this. Okay, now I'm teaching this section because it's really important that we move well in our daily life because it reduces our risk of future injury, it allows our bodies to heal current injuries, and it gives you more freedom of movement. Because there's one thing that I know for sure. If I took everyone watching this right now, and I fast forwarded your life 5, 10, 15, 20 years, and you felt what it would feel like to be inside your body after not doing anything about this, after not learning how to move better, after not doing the right movements and stretches, you'd probably feel pretty horrible. You wouldn't feel good in your body. So that's why you got to get started now. Doing the right movements and stretches for your body, practicing movement, not focusing on exercise and intensity, focusing on how well you can move. Because, what do we say, guys? When you move better, you feel better. I love it. All right, hopefully you said that too at home. Okay, I got one more thing that I want to teach you today for the lower back, all right? I want to integrate everything together because one of the other reasons that people have lower back pain is poor balance and coordination. So yes, we just learned how to move through the hips properly like this, but now we want to integrate everything because this is a great capacity to have. But I got one movement that if you can do it, basically means you have incredibly strong, flexible hips, active glutes, active core, incredible balance, etc. This move I'm going to teach you is called the drinking bird. I'm going to show you the most challenging variation first because it's a variation that most people aren't going to be able to do, but it's what we want you to work up towards. And I'm going to show you a movement progression, then starting from very simple all the way up to the drinking bird. And that's how we like to do our workouts at WeShape, is giving you the right level for your individual body on every single movement that we teach. And these are movements that are functional movements that help you in your daily life, okay? So the drinking bird looks like this. If you're able to stand on one foot with an active arch, shift your weight to that one foot with a perfect balance, place your hands on the back of your head, open your chest in posture, come forward into a full drinking bird position, right? And then squeeze your glutes and come up to the start position just like this, the likelihood of you experiencing lower back pain in the future goes way down. The safety of you not experiencing falls goes way up, right? Your body becomes so much stronger and so much more resilient to anything that you do in your daily life. This is one of my favorite movements. We give almost everybody in our WeShape routines this movement because it's an absolutely incredible movement to help you create better balance coordination across the entire lower body and your core at the same time. But like I said, we don't give everybody the drinking bird because most people can't do it. So I want to show you how we can start out working on the drinking bird from a very low level and working up from there, okay? So the first one is if you're still kind of new to us, you haven't ever done any of these types of movements before, maybe you have a little bit of lower back pain right now, maybe you're one of the people who said you were at a 10 already, I'm going to show you a really simple version of this movement, okay?
Shout out to Maria for feel better in the comments.
Yeah, shout out to Maria for saying feel better in the comments. I love it. Okay, one step forward, one step backward. So I like to look at this like my toe on the back side is about even with the heel on my front foot, okay? Hips stay straight forward the whole time. That's really important as we practice this movement. You're going to have a chair or a countertop in front of you for support, and we're going to put most of the weight, let's say about 2/3 of the weight on my front leg. So I'm going to put that weight on my front leg. I'm going to shift my center of gravity over that front foot, and all I'm going to do is this. My hands are on the chair. I'm going to push my butt back a little bit, and then I'm going to squeeze my glute and come back to the start position. All right? This is it. This is going to be our lowest level movement I'm going to teach today. There are lower levels that we actually have in our workouts, but this is the lowest level one I'm going to teach today, using the arms for support. Now the goal is, as you practice this movement, can you increase the range of motion a little bit more and a little bit more until you're able to hit maybe about a 45-degree angle. So right about there and then back with minimal use of your arms. All right? So you can practice this movement for about 1 minute on the right side, 1 minute on the left side every single day. Or you can do maybe 3 rounds of it for 1 minute a couple days a week. That also works great too. And if you can do that with no pain and with good form, then the next variation of this movement is to do it without the chair in front of you, okay? So now we're going to do that staggered stance drinking bird, all right? And we're going to put the hands on the hips this time. And this can help us, right? Because if we feel the hips and the spine differentiate, they move like this, then we're moving through the spine more than we should. The pelvis and the spine should stay in one piece. I like to think about it. Imagine your pelvis is the boat and your spine is the mast. And if the mast was moving all over like this on a boat, what would happen? That boat would sink real fast, wouldn't it? Okay? So keep them in one piece. So now I'm going to activate with the elevator. Tight core. I'm going to push my butt back. I'm going to come forward, and I'm going to see if I can do the same thing about 45 degrees, and then back up, squeeze that glute muscle, especially on that front leg, to help you fully extend the hips. So I'm squeezing that glute muscle to help fully extend the hips, all right? Now, if I can do 1 minute like this, then the next thing I can do is bring my hands onto the back of my head, and I can practice and see if I can do 1 minute like this. Now, I don't want you to do this and round your spine. I want you to open your chest, pull your elbows back behind you, and repeat the same movement. Now, by putting the hands on the back of the head, you're increasing the leverage needed to do this, which means that your hamstrings, your glutes, and your core have to fire more to stabilize this movement, all right? So practice right here. If you're able to do this for 1 minute on the right, 1 minute on the left with perfect form, then we can escalate the challenge of the movement even further. I'm going to switch legs now so I'm a little bit more even. And what we can do is we can put our hands back on our hips, and this time we're going to do a little bit of a high knee, all right? Now this one's going to require more balance, so if you need to in the beginning, You can always do this next to a countertop or a chair, and you can use your hands on the countertop or the chair for support. All right, and something that's really I like to recommend is if I'm doing my right leg, I'm going to put my left hand on the chair. And the reason why is if I'm doing my left leg and my left hand's on the chair, I'm more likely to do this. But if I have my right leg down and my left hand on the chair, now I'm working contralaterally and I'm less likely to bend from side to side. I'm more likely to keep my torso upright, okay? So we can place that foot on the ground. We can shift our weight over that foot. So I try to think about nice tall posture. And if I drew a line from my nose through my belly button, it would drop right between my toes, okay? Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start with my foot kind of just hovering over the ground. I'm gonna come forward to about 45 degrees. I'm gonna tap my toes on the back like this. I'm gonna squeeze this glute muscle. I'm gonna almost imagine like I'm doing this. Almost imagine like I'm kicking my heel out, and I'm gonna extend the hips fully and see if I can lift the knee up like this. And again, I'm using my fingertips on the chair for support. And so over time, what we wanna practice is, can I do this without my fingertips on the chair? Maybe my hands are on my hips, maybe they're out to the side for balance. But we wanna start practicing. You can start with small ranges of motion like this, and eventually you can work up to deeper ranges of motion, okay? Now, once we're able to do this, where we're able to balance on one leg and come forward and backward, just like I'm showing you right here, now we're pretty close to being able to do the drinking bird. Now what we can do is we can shift that weight to that one foot, hands on the hips. We can lift the knee towards the sky, and this time we can see if we can do it without letting our foot touch the ground. So coming forward, keeping the hips squared away. Another thing people do wrong is they open the hips like this, all right? So keep the hips squared towards the ground, all right? And then squeezing the glute and coming back up. And it's totally okay if you feel those wobbles. If you feel those little wobbles, those are your stabilizer muscles activating. They're learning how to balance. They're learning how to teach your body how to move better, because when you move better, you feel better, right? I didn't have you guys shout on that one. But eventually, by practicing this variation of the movement, then we can take the hands from the hips to the back of the head, and we can do the full drinking bird like I showed you at the beginning of this segment. This is my favorite movement for the core and the lower body. And really, it's like a movement that I will practice for as long as I possibly can, because I know that it gives us the most bang for our buck, all right? And if I end up hurting myself in the future and I can't do that movement, guess what? I'm gonna start back at the initial one and I'm gonna work towards it from there, all right? So poor balance and coordination can be solved with this one movement. So, man, we're almost an hour into this, and I just wanna say thanks for being here. And thanks for following along with these movements. And I promised you at the beginning that we were gonna help you fix your lower back and see if we could reduce your back pain in this one session. So if you were somebody who commented your number in the beginning, what I want you to do now is this. I want you to say, I was a 7 and now I'm a 4, or whatever it is for you. So take a moment, feel your lower back, feel your hips, right? Take a moment, really feel how your body feels now compared to when you started, all right? And post in the comments right now, I was a 8, whatever it may be, now I'm a 3. We want to see if we actually succeeded at helping you reduce your lower back pain during this one live session. So go ahead and shout out some comments when we start getting them coming in here. I know there's a little bit of delay on this, but go ahead and post in the comments, what were you at before and what are you at right now? Because we want to see if we succeeded in helping you reduce your lower back pain in just one live session by teaching you those 7 reasons you have lower back pain and how to fix it, all right? So while we wait for these comments to come in, I just want to recap really quick, okay? The 7 reasons. Too much compression, all right? Too much compression in the spine means we have to decompress the spine with those first 2 moves we taught. Bad pelvic position means we have to do the right stretches to help reset the pelvis. Tight glutes and hips, yeah, we got to stretch those tight glutes and hips, okay? Dysfunctional core, the elevator, the movement I taught you. Again, this is probably number 1. If you're going to take anything from this video, practice the elevator every day before you go to sleep and before you get out of bed. Strengthening your glutes. Getting those glutes active again is really important. Learning good form and how to move through the hips. And finally, improving your balance and coordination with the drinking bird, okay? Don't pick all the movements that we did in this live. Pick 3 movements, 4 movements, maybe 5 movements. Do them every day for the next week or 2. And watch as your back pain feels so much better. All right, we got some numbers here?
Yeah, we got an
8 to a 3.
6 to a 3.
6 to a 3. Another 6 to a 3. Awesome. I love it. We did it, you guys. We did it. We helped people actually improve their lower back pain in just one session. So 5 to a 3 is more coming in. So really, I hope this video impacted you. I hope you were able to get some movements and stretches that helped you feel better in your body, because that's what we're all about at WeShape, is helping you feel better in your body. And I do want to say that I know I just gave you a lot. Like, I just gave you probably 15 to 20 different movements and stretches. And the last thing I want you to do is walk away from this video and not do anything because you feel paralyzed by the amount of information out there. And so instead of doing that, I want to tell you something. WeShape was built to help you feel better in your body. And so if you're confused and you're like, okay, what do I do next? Well, I want to tell you, here's how WeShape can help you out. All right. Lower back pain can feel incredibly frustrating. Daily activities become difficult and painful, and you'd probably do anything to rid yourself of this issue so you can stop losing your freedom of movement. You can start enjoying your life again. Because it's more than just physical pain. It robs you of your freedom, your joy, and your sense of control. You can't even bend over to tie your own shoes without thinking twice. You can't lift your kids or your grandkids or even enjoy a walk without feeling like your body is betraying you. You try to push through, but at some point, it starts to feel like you're just drifting in the same endless cycle of temporary relief only to go right back to square one. And that is incredibly frustrating. I get it. I've been there. I know what it's like to feel like you're not getting the help you need. You've tried the generic advice, stretch more, strengthen your core, lose weight, but nothing truly works. You're tired of the same old solutions that only offer short-term fixes. It's not just about doing more exercises, it's about doing the right movements in the right way, in a plan that's built for your unique body. One that can evolve with you and that can adapt to how your body feels each day. So let me ask you this. What if you could have a coach who actually understands your body's unique needs? What if you could have a coach who designs a personalized routine just for you? One that gets to the root cause of your back pain and helps you correct it step by step. And what if this could all be done in as little as 10 minutes a day? I've seen firsthand how powerful a personalized, consistent routine can be. I've worked with thousands of people just like you who felt hopeless, stuck in the pain, and frustrated. But once we gave them a personalized program that adapted to them, that's when the magic started to happen. What you need is a program that's just like having me or one of my expert coaches right there with you every single day, guiding you through the right movements, adjusting your routine, and making sure that you're always moving in a way that actually heals your body. And that's exactly what we've built with WeShape's Coach.
You start with the basic exercises. You can do them on your bed. You don't have to climb on the floor. Even if you don't want to get out of bed, you can sit at the edge of your bed, roll over on your tummy. You can do them sitting in a chair. If it's too hard, you scale down. If you think, oh yeah, that one's easy, the piece of cake, you scale up. You control what you want to do. And that just starts your day out, with a solid 10. And then you log into a Zoom class, and it's with people that become your extended family. There's nobody to yell at you, nobody to shame you. And 2 days a week, you meet one-on-one with the trainer. I mean, what program offers that?
I love the workouts. They're 30 minutes or less. I can do them if I wake up early in the morning, I squeeze it in before I go to work. When I come home, I can squeeze it in before dinner. I really love the pace of them, starting out usually with like a breathing exercise and then going into, sometimes it's just 1 or 2 exercises. I felt like I could get through them without feeling bad about myself because I could accomplish each exercise in the time frame that was set. And the way that Tyler breaks everything down and explains everything in a really easy way to understand was wonderful for me. It's definitely made a difference in my daily life.
You see, the movements and stretches that you learned today are the same ones used by Coach, our personalized movement and stretching system that actually customizes your workout to fit your body's unique needs. But here's where Coach really sets itself apart. It's not just about following a routine. Coach is designed to learn about your body, just like a world-class personal trainer or physical therapist would. It assesses your strengths, your weaknesses, and your specific pain points, and then uses this information to build a routine with the exact movements and exact stretches and the exact variations your body needs to heal and feel better. You see, while some of the moves you learn today are likely a perfect fit for you, others might not be ideal for your body. Coach makes sure that you're doing what's right for your body. No guesswork, no one-size-fits-all solutions. And the best part? It's incredibly easy to use. You won't need to spend hours figuring out what to do next. Coach provides a simple, follow-along format where you get 10-minute routines that fit into your busy schedule. Whether you're at home, on the go, or even in bed on a tough day, Coach adapts to your needs and creates a routine that you can do anywhere with no equipment required. It's like having a personal coach right at your fingertips, always there to make sure you're doing the right things to heal and feel stronger.
I'm pain-free, full range of motion, so excited about being able to use my shoulder fully again. That's amazing.
I was getting tense in my neck and shoulders. I find that the stretches offered in We-Shape kind of relieving some of the tensions I've been under.
I'm feeling good. I'm definitely feeling stronger. I can walk without my hip hurting or my back hurting for longer periods of time. Less pain. I can do more than I could. So much better. I can't even say.
I have massive soft injury, tissue injury from years ago that I'm still trying to stabilize. It's getting better, and the more I'm doing We-Shape, the better it gets.
I feel like I want to move now.
I feel good in my body that I can move and do different exercises.
My body feels better. What really has helped my body to adjust to many things that are happening as I age.
Even better, Coach is designed to be fully customizable to your individual needs. If any of the movements or stretches you learned today felt too easy or too challenging, Coach will automatically adjust the intensity and difficulty of each movement to ensure it's the perfect fit for your body. Whether you need a gentler approach or a more advanced progression, Coach tailors each routine specifically for you, helping you make steady progress without overexertion. And this means you can work at your own pace, stay safe, and always feel confident knowing that you're doing exactly what your body needs.
You guys did an awesome job picking out the exercises and the warm-ups for me. I'm really impressed.
The customized movements were so good and so well explained.
I like this whole movement thing. I've got to go move my body. I've got to do, these things Tyler sets up for me.
That's one of the things that impressed me the most about this program was Tyler's knowledge level and the accuracy of how he explains and describes everything.
Learning to move with proper form has been such a game changer.
A really good thing to just learn better ways to do some of my basic movements. That was awesome.
It's been beneficial to have the workouts and have the structure, and the people just keeps me motivated to keep moving forward.
I didn't feel like I had to do it perfectly or do it long. I can just go at my own pace, which is something that's important to me.
There's just not a lot out there like this.
And on top of that, Coach will emphasize the importance of good form throughout your entire routine. It'll guide you step by step, showing you how to perform each movement and each stretch that you learned today with perfect technique. And it doesn't stop there. Coach will teach you additional movements and stretches that will help you build strength, increase your flexibility, and boost your confidence safely again. And by focusing on form with every movement, you'll be able to heal your body, prevent further injury, and truly feel good again, without the guesswork or risk of doing things incorrectly.
We-Shape and the exercising has helped me greatly.
I feel good when I finish a workout, and it's like, yes, I did this.
This program has allowed and enabled me to learn to appreciate my body and to sometimes put myself first some days without feeling guilty.
I changed the way I was thinking. I don't compare myself to what other people look like. I learned to be comfortable in my own body. I learned to, put me first, no matter what, like make sure I take care of me. So I'm awesome. So I'm going to keep that up.
Thank you for giving me a new way to look at moving my body and feeling good in my body and with different attitude towards exercise. Thank you.
It's what I needed to just get me going. Being more active physically makes me happier mentally.
I mean, who really doesn't want to feel good, right?
I don't want to give this up. Even after all this is over, I'm going to keep going. I have you to thank for that.
I'm really excited about finding WeShape.
Plus, WeShape isn't just a personalized workout and stretching program, because in addition to having Coach build you a personalized movement and stretching routine, we also built a thriving social community that you can lean on for support. And we host live coaching calls every weekday to make sure you have the support that you need to succeed. And this is big for people like you with lower back pain, because if anything comes up, or if you need help doing any of the movements or any of the stretches correctly, you'll have direct access to myself and Dr. Lisa, our resident doctor of physical therapy, to make sure you're doing things correctly and safely.
The community, you become family. It's judgment-free. It's a safe spot. Nobody's going to say, what did you eat that for? You look for the people there. You know when somebody's going through a really hard time. You have joy. You embrace. You cheer for the wee wins that people are sharing.
As you can see, WeShape has helped thousands of people feel amazing in their body again, and we would love to help you too. And because we know that WeShape will make a huge difference in how you feel, we wanted to do 2 special things for you as a thank you for attending the Fix Lower Back Pain Live. So first, our monthly members normally pay $39.95 a month, which is as much as $479 a year for access to the personalized movement and stretching routines that Coach creates to help you gain strength, flexibility, and feel pain-free again. And also access to our thriving community and our daily live coaching calls with myself, Dr. Lisa, and our team of other experts and coaches, which, to be honest, is already a great value for everything that's included with WeShape. However, since you took the time to attend the Fix Lower Back Pain Live, we wanted to offer you a substantial discount off of our 3 most popular plans, so you can not only get started relieving yourself from lower back pain today, but can also get a great deal as well. So, if you're frustrated with your lower back pain and you want the easy way to put everything you learned into action so you can gain strength, flexibility, and confidence safely, and can finally feel good in your body again, then all you have to do is click the link in the description or go to WeShape.com/back pain, and you can claim your discount and get started today. But there's one big catch. This discount will only be live until midnight tonight. It's our way of rewarding the people like you who are ready to take action and actually attended the live event. So again, if you want the easy way to put everything that you learned throughout this live event into action today, so you can start gaining strength, flexibility, and confidence safely, and can finally feel good in your body again, then all you have to do is click the link in the description or go to WeShape.com/back pain, and you can claim your discount and get started today. But that's not all, because the second thing we wanted to do for you is remove 100% of your risk and give you peace of mind in your decision to try WeShape. Because at WeShape, we believe that we don't deserve to have you as a member if we don't live up to our promise, which is why we wanted to guarantee that you will feel the difference in your body in the first 30 days, or we will give you 100% of your investment back. This way, you have nothing to lose, well, except the nagging back pain that you've been struggling with. So, if you want the easy way to put everything that you just learned throughout this live into action so you can gain strength, flexibility, and confidence safely, and can finally feel good in your body again, all while knowing that you'll feel the difference or you pay nothing, then all you have to do is click the link in the description or go to WeShape.com/back pain, and you can claim your discount and get started today. Just make sure that you take action on this ASAP, because this discount will only be live until midnight tonight, okay? Otherwise, thank you so much for joining the Fix Lower Back Pain Live. We really hope this makes a noticeable difference on how you feel in your body. We hope that you join us for our future lives coming up.